somebody who I don't know well, but I just met him. I'm very impressed with what he had to say. I'm going to try to say his name. I'm not a Chinese speaker, but here we go. Dr. Qingduang Yang. Dr. Yang is a board-certified psychiatrist and fifth-generation practitioner of classical Chinese medicine. He's the founder of a four-dimensional approach to integrative care, combining Eastern and Western medical traditions. He's the author of the book Facing East and Clinical Acupuncture and Ancient Chinese Medicine, and serves as CEO of the Northern Medical Center in New York. And he has a very interesting project he's working on, which he just began to tell me about prior to his coming here. And I think you're going to be very interested in hearing it. It's the first of its kind that I know of. Dr. Qingduang Yang, please come.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Yang to introduce me to this conference. And I want to thank Tess to invite me to speak. I couldn't really find a better conference to present the ACES model of health and medicine. And if you agree with me, and by end of this talk, we might have found a better way for medicine, a new solution to health. And I would like to say, when I come to the United States, after learning Chinese medicine since age 13, went to one of the top medical schools in China and studied all the modern medicine, and become a neurologist and psychiatrist for 12 years, during which I went to Sydney University, studied the child development and psychology, and Oxford for the psychopharmacology research. I list all that not because trying to brag about my education. I have no idea my life was arranged in such order until the 1996. And I really tired of being a neurologist. No offense, I know one of the neurologists here. And I feel like being a neurologist, I just need half of my brain. But I do feel I needed all my brain to be a good psychiatrist. So I left China and come to US without knowing what life is ahead of me. So the first job presented to me was to teach Chinese medicine to a master's degree students in a acupuncture school in Minnesota. Well, I never thought the Chinese medicine could be taught in English. And I never thought it could be learned by people who growing up from totally different culture, different part of the world. And I found myself have to constantly reconcile between the Western medicine concept and the Chinese medicine concept. And that exercises for 3 years really taught me a lot. And fast forward, I become a psychiatry resident at Thomas Jefferson University. Again, I have no idea why they had me, because I don't even remember I applied for it. Seriously, I mean, Philadelphia? No way. You know, I thought Minneapolis was the best place in the world at that time. But anyhow, very soon, I found, I chose Thomas Jefferson, I liked it. It's because many of the faculty were trained in psychoanalysis, which I feel that was the gem of the Western medicine. But of course, these days, they all prescribe drugs, right? And my supervisor, Dr. Dan Monti, introduced me something I never thought I would learn here, called the neuro-emotional technique. And that technique literally is based on the three greatest minds of medicine. Freud, who recognized your early childhood trauma, how it affects you unconsciously, and in your adult life. Then Pavlov, who recognized conditional operation and affecting operational conditioning, how affect our behavior. That's why human behavior is so hard to change. So make America healthy again, trust me, it's not going to be easy. It's not about the knowledge. Make any change, we have to bring our head, our heart, and our gut on the same page. And most of the time, we can't even control our head. Let it go, we don't have access to our heart and our gut. But fast forward, I was exposed to so many different medicines. We have alternative medicine, complementary medicine, functional medicine, lifestyle medicine, naturopath medicine, you name it, the Chinese medicine. And I've been always asked by my patients, what kind of medicine I should pursue. My colleagues, what kind of medicine I should learn to have additional skill to help my patients. I feel very confused myself. I said, why do we need so many medicines? We're treating one human being, right? We just need one medicine, right? So we don't need so many different medicines. So that's why I began to formulate this idea. What is that one medicine like? That medicine has to be common sense based, has to be based on science, has to be based on the wisdom, has to be based on who human being is made of. And that's why I began to formulate the concept of ACEs model of health and medicine. So you don't really need me to tell you that modern medicine is fragmented, okay? And and also there's different ideas. It's the same idea, people trying to supplement each other. That's why they created so many different medicine. For example, functional medicine, when I first time heard about it, I said, oh, my goodness, the Chinese medicine has a whole book talking about the gut and the health 1,000 years ago. But now finally we're catching up, okay? That's great. So I see that happens all the time. But really, each discipline is only see one piece of human body. So what is human body made of? Very simple. We're made of body parts. That's a structure, that's anatomy, right? And okay, I'm a little bit ahead of myself. So let's start with this first. So body structures, everything we're good at in modern medicine. I'm not a big fan of it. When I was in medical school, I tried to skip my orthopedic surgery rotation because I couldn't tolerate the process of orthopedic surgery. I'm so sorry, no offense to the orthopedic surgeon here. It looked like a carpentry to a human body. But as we really look at the human anatomy, it's not just about gross anatomy. We really need to go down into the membrane of the cell. I don't know how many of you have ever heard the concept of membrane medicine. It's really about if we don't take care of the membrane, the cell cannot function well. The membrane is made of what? Fat, the essential fatty acids. So that's why essential fatty acids has become such important things in almost every medical conditions and health care, health promotions, right? So that's the level you have to go to about anatomy. The chemistry, I had to say, when I was in medical school, that was my favorite subject. I got higher scores on that, on the tests. But once you are in practicing, you throw them all away. You never thought about the chemistry anymore because you only prescribe drug, right? A high school kids can do that after 6 months of training, just following the book, So, but the chemistry is more than that. It's not genetics, it's epigenetics, it's methylation, is the conditions where people losing, either not absorbing nutrients or losing nutrients. And if we do not recognize that and let it go, one infection, vaccine, everything coming from outside, the body, the individual body who is vulnerable to those things, going to have all kinds of trouble and hard time. So chemistry is really what biomedicine should be. Of course, pharmaceuticals may have some role to play in the crisis, in the small, short term, but long-term use can definitely do more harm than good. That's why you have to read all small prints of the side effects. So medicine, unfortunately, no longer is no harm first. Almost like you have to agree to harm before they can treat you. So that's not really a good job or satisfaction for physicians like myself. So when I talk to my colleagues, I say, oh, I'm a cardiologist. I said, what do you do? And by the end of the conversation, I said, you should be called a cardiopharmacologist because you do nothing but prescribing drugs. Same thing can be said for psychiatrists. So it's no more fun to be a psychiatrist anymore these days. But energy. When I was 13 years old, my father put me aside and said, son, you have to learn Chinese medicine now, otherwise you can't survive the hardship in the countryside. Because in 1970s, during Cultural Revolution, Mao sent all these potential troublemaker high school graduates into remote countryside, and life is horrible there. Anyway, so I did. I learned Chinese medicine. And something strange happened. He insisted I should learn English. I didn't know why. 1970s, communist China, a father never went to university, never had interaction with any foreigners, except fighting Japanese during the Second World War. But anyway, I did. Then he said, you got to medical school to learn modern medicine. That's where the confusion starts. So we had arguments every time we meet. When he taught me something about the kidney is responsible for blood production. I said, no, that's a bone marrow. And he said, well, high blood pressure and the mood disorder are the same things, all have something to do with the liver. I said, no, this belongs to two departments. Okay. But energy was something I began to think more and more. The Chinese medicine is a medicine about human energy. And modern medicine recognizes energy. If you go to your primary care, they do vital signs, they do EKG, EEG, EMG, NG, all these Gs, right? And you're complaining about pain, headaches, fatigue, constipation, diarrhea, heart palpitations, or most of them are really energetic manifestations. There's no structural or biochemical evidence to support why you have that. So without addressing energy, we're like car shops without electronic engineer, okay? So that's what I told President of Jefferson, Dr. Stephen Glasgow at that time. I said, you're running a car shop without electronic engineers. So that's still not enough, because what affects the energy the most is our thoughts, our emotions, our behaviors, our lifestyles, and our relationships. And what affects that? What determined that? I didn't know. I was wondering, and nobody ever told me. Coming from a communist China, you have a different idea about the universe. I have to thank a biochemist professor who happened to give a lecture about Christianity and the science. So I began to understand there's a higher lives, higher powers. But still, I was struggling to which discipline I should follow, Buddha or Tao or Christian. And among the Christianity, there were so many different. I was very confused, okay? I just basically traveling from one church to another church to see which one I feel comfortable. But until I run into something really special called Falun Dafa or Falun Gong, it took away all my troubles. He says the teaching is like focusing on being truthful, being compassionate, being tolerant. That's it. You know, let go your attachment that prevents you from doing those things. That's it. I feel like, okay, wherever I belong to, if I do that well, I will be there. Okay. But that really, really got me into the ACEs model, I think, the critical part. I feel like the medicine, what's the medicine for the soul, right? So that's the concept called life cultivation. So whatever people do, if that helps you have a positive thinking, a stable mood, a peaceful mood, and a healthy behavior, good relationship, and healthy lifestyle, whatever that is, follow it, okay? So that's the ACEs model. But next things, I want to go back to talk about healthcare, medical care. This is a totally two different concept. I think the trouble is we confuse healthcare with medical care. Medical care, the responsibility is a doctor. They're treating people who have lost health, so the sickness. So the doctor is trained, incentivized, and rewarded by treating the sickness. In the way the sicker you are, the profession becomes more significant, glorious, and important. And so therefore, that's the medical care. On the other hand, the health care is your self-care. You prevent yourself from getting sick. So therefore, it's all personal responsibility. That's why the healthcare and anybody, family, friends, workspace, and the community government, they are responsible to facilitate, but the primary responsibility is ourselves. If we don't understand that, if we outsource our health care to anybody else, whoever they are, and we are losing the way. So that's very important. This is a time we build real health care, but we should not let medical care call themselves health care. We should not we should not let medical insurance call themselves health insurance. We should not let the government give health care money to medical care industry and hoping they're going to promote health. Trust me, if anything, they're going to try to make us sicker. Okay. So healthcare is our responsibility. So I want to be quick and really, the one thing I want to emphasize, I know my time may be up, the individuality. I feel like we are talking so much about what we need to do to a people, for a person, but we really need to pay attention. Each individual, they're structurally different. We all look different, right? They're biochemically different. They're energetically different. They're spiritually definitely different. So therefore, they have to be individualized. There's no one thing fits all. And if we do not start doing, that's why I support the idea. The medicine, the patient's story is the evidence. So the question is not evidence-based medicine, it's what is the evidence? As a doctor, my evidence is each patient's story is the evidence, because they're all going to be different. So we want to emphasize that. Anyway, I could give a lot of stories, but I think what I really want to say is today I feel like my life is kind of a manifestation, which I never planned. You know, I become a resident, I become the director of Chinese medicine of Jefferson. I become integrative medicine fellow with Dr. Andrew Weil. I wrote 2 books and I opened my own clinics, practice 4-dimensional medicine. 3.5 years ago, I was asked to help open a new medical school in Middletown, New York. Then I asked myself, why do I do that? Why do I want to do? Why do we need another medical school? We don't need another medical school. right? Do we? But we really need a new medical school that produce three doctors in one person. The doctor who know how to heal the nation, the doctor who know how to heal the person, and the doctor who know how to heal the sickness and managing crisis. We need all three doctors. If you look at yourself, you look at the people in this room, you belong to each one of those categories, even though you're not carrying necessarily a doctor degree or title, but that's what we need. We need to produce a doctor who can compose individual the health plan, because each individual's life health is like a beautiful symphony, but we need someone to compose that. More than that, we need someone to conduct it. So we need to conduct the physicians who can coordinate and all the specialists and to produce the best health care for the individuals. I'm here really to say I'm so honored, so happy to be here to share this with you, because I believe this new medicine, the new healthcare, has to be just like the government we wanted. It has to be of the people, by the people, and for the people. And the manifestation today is that everyone here, I would ask you to join me on this journey and to create it. We have this great opportunity to produce a best medical care and healthcare system on the planet. Thank you so much.